Coming up on Carolina Week, Josh Stein's final appeal to voters on campus.
You can either have a governor who fights for you on those issues or one who pretends these issues are not real.
How Alpha Kappa Alpha is working to get Vice President Harris elected.
Being a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated means I belong to a sisterhood.
And a look at Western North Carolina, 1 month after the hurricane.
That's my son's bed pillow, the arm pillow there.
From the UNC Hussman School of Journalism and Media, connecting Carolina's campus and community, this is Carolina Week.
Welcome to Carolina Week. I'm Anna Catermeyer.
And I'm Bethany Pryor.
We are now less than a week away from Election Day, so we begin today at the polls. North Carolina voters have turned out in a record number early this voting season. Right now, you're seeing a live look at what's going on outside. As you can tell, Isha Patnaik is joining us from this early voting polling place. But before she goes on, there's a little bit that you have to know. Right now, you're seeing some people walking towards the polls, but I'm told that at 3 p.m. this afternoon, this will rev up with people who are waiting to get their sticker that says, "I voted." But Isha, what are you seeing out there?
Well, Anna Cater, we are standing right in front of the Union, as you can see on one side of me, and on the other side, they are prepping for the Joy to the Polls event. This is a nonpartisan voting initiative across the country to mobilize voters to the power of music. As you can see, it is so colorful. They have their logos everywhere, and I don't think you can see this, but at the back, it has huge letters that spell out vote. At 12, students can catch performances from Rhapsody and loot in more resources on voting. In this early voting session, already 3.2 million North Carolinians have already voted. This is a 12% increase from 2020. Although early voting ends Saturday, there's still a massive push to get voters out to the polls. Already in these past few weeks, you've seen on campus the activity, the campaigning, the voting. This is all because UNC plays such a critical role in this year's election. Our Hamsi Sivakumar shows us exactly how UNC plays a role in this right race.
A final push in North Carolina as early voting ends on Saturday. Democratic candidate for governor Josh Stein visited UNC's campus on Monday with Governor Roy Cooper. When asked about his final message to young voters,
What kind of public school system are we going to have? Whether women have the ability to make their own healthcare decisions about their own bodies, whether we have leaders who understand that the climate crisis is real and we need to take steps to reduce carbon emissions, whether we have a criminal justice system that treats people fairly and that we're actually trying to reduce gun deaths. These are all things that the governor will have a voice on, and you can either have a governor who fights for you on those issues or one who pretends these issues are not real.
Stein spent much of his time on campus comparing himself to his opponent, Republican Mark Robinson. UNC's college Republicans said that they weren't specifically endorsing anyone.
We did not have any of Robinson's merch or cards, anything like that on there. So
Carolina Week has reached out to the Robinson campaign but has not received a response. A CNN report claimed Robinson posted disturbing messages on a porn site, an allegation he denies. Robinson is currently trailing Stein in multiple polls. But it wasn't just talk of the opposition. Stein also discussed aid for Western North Carolina and reproductive rights. Multiple candidates, including Stein, stressed that young voters were a big part of this election. In Chapel Hill, I'm Hamsini Sivakumar.
Governor Roy Cooper says he has the same feeling he did in 2008. Stay tuned because young voters come. We'll be talking to them about their voting plan. Hang with us to see what the concert looks like closer to 12 p.m.
Today, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump visit the Tar Heel State in their last call to win North Carolina. Tim Walz, J.D. Vance, Barack Obama, and Jill Biden were all in North Carolina over the past week, appealing to voters one last time before the election. Walz spoke in Wilmington about the tax cuts for middle class and tax credits for small businesses, while Vance spoke about freedom to practice your religion. They also both made negative remarks towards the opposing party's candidate.
all of you out there listening, you go into Bass Pro Shop, put that gun up there, fill out the form, and when it comes back with 34 felony convictions, they throw your out of Bass Pro Shop.
Look, I think Kamala Harris legitimately is a crazy person. I mean, to the extent that she has any ideas, any original thoughts about how to govern this country, I think it's a disaster.
Across the state, many local offices will be up for election. And here in Orange County, the race for Carrboro Town Council is in full swing. Carolina Week sent out a questionnaire to candidates Isaac Woosley and Christabel Palmer to hear their main issues going into the election. Palmer claims if elected, he will work to make Carrboro more accessible by improving parking and transit options, along with making buying a home more affordable for young people. Woosley claims if he is elected, he will focus on helping curb the climate crisis locally and fully implement the Carrboro Connects comprehensive plan. Both candidates say affordable housing and making young people feel heard are the paramount importance to improving Carrboro.
On the November 5th ballot, there is a proposed amendment that changes the wording of the NC Constitution. The referendum proposed by North Carolina Republicans would move the clause stating that naturalized citizens specifically have the right to vote, instead of just saying citizens have the right to vote. This does not change any current laws. All citizens, naturalized or not, would still have the right to vote. This could potentially confuse naturalized citizens, making them question if they have the right to vote. This also would close any interpretation allowing non-citizens to vote in local elections, following its legalization in some instances in San Francisco and the District of Columbia. Victoria Aguilar of El Pueblo says this is harmful to naturalized immigrants.
I think this is attacking definitely the immigrant community directly, whether it's by making ensuring that measures like that have happened in those cities don't happen here in North Carolina, or if it's by limiting the right of naturalized citizens.
This could also open the door to a future judge interpreting that naturalized citizens are not allowed to vote.
We've seen new energy come into the elections this year, and one organization in particular has brought more attention than ever to voting.
Vote, 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 vote.
The Divine Nine is shedding a light on this year's election, most notably the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Not only are members pushing to get voters to the polls, the sorority is also making a financial push for candidates. Just months ago, it created a PAC with over $956,000 contributed to support candidates who are members. Its most famous member now on the ballot, Vice President Kamala Harris. AKA Hallie Thigpen tells me it's inspiring to have someone run that expresses the sorority's core values.
We have 5 different initiatives. We have uplifting our local community, enhancing our environment, advocating social justice, building our economic wealth, and empowering our families.
The sorority also recently revitalized its voter engagement campaign, Soar to the Polls. Madison McCrae and Thigpen say it's meant to engage people, especially its over 360,000 members.
I think that just in general, there's a really big charge to just get people out to vote this election cycle. I think it's a really important election. So I think in general, yes, it has been very, very important to everyone.
I feel like on certain campuses, the Divine Nine has a big influence because they host programs based off of all their different initiatives. And so I feel like that is something that can really connect with the younger population.
Alpha Kappa Alpha is not the only Divine Nine bringing voters to the polls. McCrae tells me that her mom's chapter is also doing its part to make sure everyone can vote.
They're actually taking shifts and working the polls and just making sure that people are safe when they're voting and not being targeted, threatened in any way like that.
It's a sisterhood with powerful reach and influence that is hoping to put a fellow soarer in the White House. In Chapel Hill, I'm Landon Jobe, Carolina Week.
Kamala Harris pledged the sorority in 1986 while finishing her degree at Howard University. Coming up on Carolina Week.
Long way to go in recovery.
A look at Western North Carolina 1 month after Hurricane Helene. And remembering track star, musician, and UNC freshman, Hae-Ming Ocean Yang.
It's always too late when people get to appreciate someone for who they really are, you know?
Thank you for sticking with us. It's been 1 month since Hurricane Helene hit western North Carolina, and residents tell us they don't want to be forgotten. Our own Samantha Hoffman travels to Shenandoah to share the stories and future of the community.
This is the scene of Shenandoah about 1 month after Hurricane Helene passed through. As you can see behind me, we're seeing piles of trees, entire buildings left on their side, and cars left to pieces. It's residents like Daniel Wright, whose home is right behind me, who is taking it day by day to rebuild their lives.
It's a typical morning for Shenandoah resident Daniel Wright. Wake up at 4:30 and piece back together his home.
Some things I looked for hours in here until I just couldn't breathe from the gases being released from the mud.
Hurricane Helene destroyed his neighborhood just 1 month ago, leaving him still without clean drinking water and displaced from his home.
This was in my storage unit over here that I had.
While volunteers say they're leaving, emergency relief organizers say threats are far from over, with hypothermic deaths and spring landslides to come.
We had landslides last night. No injuries, no damages, but we had roads that we had to clear again. That will happen again, repeatedly.
Governor Roy Cooper has requested a $3.9 billion package for rebuilding efforts, and the legislature has put up $600 million so far. But for many, eyes are on what the future governor will do. Republican candidate Mark Robinson has refrained from voting to make Western NC a state of emergency, according to a report, and says Cooper needs to lean on private funds more than federal. Democratic candidate Josh Stein, however, has stood by the governor.
They need our help to come back, and they've been there for each other in an incredibly inspiring way. But they don't have the resources. We need to be there for them, and the federal government needs to be there for them.
He says he'll focus funding on small businesses and housing relief, with 5,000 people in hotels so far. He says they've opened 800 roads with 400 more to go. And while his term is coming to a close, Governor Cooper says there's something important beyond policy for the community.
It's important that we keep the focus on Western North Carolina every single day, because the cameras will soon go away. The attention will not be there like it has been now, and it's important to continue that.
In Shenandoah, I'm Samantha Hoffman, Carolina Week.
The road to recovery is far from over. Residents tell us they need tools, protective equipment, and continuous volunteers to help rebuild. You can also donate to Wright's neighborhood directly at SaveBeaconVillage.org.
Western North Carolina is starting to reopen to tourists following the devastation from Helene. Grandfather Mountain opened last Wednesday, and winter hours will begin on Sunday. Some state trails are still closed. The office said people should book a visit online and check the website frequently, as their answering machine says the phone system is not completely operational. The Biltmore House is also reopening on Saturday, and the shops and most restaurants in downtown Asheville are open again.
The Carolina community is now mourning the loss of Heming Ocean Yang. Yang, a freshman from Cary, was an all-star track athlete in high school and became heavily involved at UNC during his first semester. Yang was an artist and musician for the UNC Anchordance live a cappella music group. Fellow members are remembering him with honor.
It was just like a blessing to have him, even for just the short few months that I knew him. He was a blessing to have around, and for his presence to be in the group. And I know that he made an impact on people that people will remember for sure.
A simulation is showing Orange County's leaders how difficult it can be to re-enter daily life after being released from prison. The program was split into 4 15-minute periods. Each represented a week after being released. Participants had to complete tasks like meeting with their probation officers, receiving drug tests, getting jobs, and paying rent by visiting tables around the room. If participants weren't back in their chairs by the end of the period, they were arrested for breaking parole.
The point of it was that it was almost impossible to actually get all this stuff done in the really short amount of time that they give you, which is, of course, deliver it.
Several participants also ended up homeless after failing to pay rent. Every job required a GED, which requires at least 3 forms of ID, which took weeks to get. The organizer of the event, Ben Gear, hopes it will inspire empathy among the community and local police officers.
Although it's the end of October, we're seeing sunny skies and warm weather. Let's head over to Nick, who's got more on the weather.
Yeah, guys, we're actually seeing really mild temperatures for this time of the year. We're currently at 73 degrees, warming up to 78 at 3 o'clock. And by sundown, we're still lingering in the 70s at 74 degrees. On average for this time of the year, we see temperatures around 68 to 69 degrees. So not that pumpkin spice weather you're expecting with these really warm temperatures. And the reason why we see that right now is because we have a high pressure system camped out in the Carolinas. It's been here for the past 3 weeks. It's still going to be here over the next 2 to 3 days. As it's here today, on Thursday, it's still going to be over the Carolinas, but on Friday, it starts to make its way towards the east a little bit, and we see a cold front that could bring us our next chance of rain Friday night. However, we're not expecting too much widespread rain, more of just a drop in temperatures towards our seasonal averages in the upper 60s. But this shouldn't affect your Halloween night. We're going to see temperatures in the mid-60s with maybe a stray shower or two, but it's going to be a gorgeous night for trick-or-treating or any other shenanigans you may be up to on Halloween night. And take a look at your 5-day forecast. We're almost hitting 80 degrees Wednesday, Thursday, and even Friday. We're almost going to hit 80 degrees, but we do see that cold front move in Friday night. We see increased cloud cover, and we see temperatures drop back into the upper 60s.
Coming up on Carolina Week, we have some pretty cool accomplishments from a few Carolina athletes. Right, Spencer?
That's exactly right, Bethany. We've got national honors, ACC honors, and we even have a top 10 rivalry matchup at Dorrance Field. We'll tell you all about it when we come back right after this.
Welcome back. Let's head over to Sports Extra's Spencer Haskell to hear about this week's accomplishments from UNC's very own. Spencer?
Thanks, Bethany. There were some pretty impressive performances from a handful of Tar Heels this past week, but first, let's talk about what's on tap tomorrow at Dorrance Field, where the number 8 ranked Carolina women's soccer team is set for a rematch against top-ranked Duke. The number 1 ranked Blue Devils have already clinched the ACC regular season title and come into tomorrow's tilt with a near perfect record, sitting at 13-1. Sophomore forward and UNC transfer Mia Oliaro has led the way for the Blue Devils this season with her 7 goals to go alongside her 10 assists. And if the Heels want redemption for September's loss, they will need to counter Duke's offensive power and bring their own scoring to the table with players like Kate Fossey and Bella Sember. ACC tournament play begins next week, and tomorrow night is the perfect opportunity to close out the regular season with momentum. Now, after her impeccable performance this past weekend, UNC volleyball outside hitter Mabry Schaffmaster was named ACC Offensive Player of the Week. On Friday against Florida State, Schaffmaster registered 17 kills, and 2 days later against Miami, she posted 25, bringing her to a career total of 1,402, which is good for the 10th most kills all time at UNC. And over at Karen Shelton Stadium, yet another member of the Tar Heel field hockey team has earned a conference honor, as senior Kelly Smith was named the ACC Defensive Player of the Week. In Friday's game against Virginia, Smith was a force, blocking shots and even getting in on the offensive fun with an assist. And on senior night against Boston College on Sunday, she redirected this shot through the goalie's legs and into the net for her first career goal. On defense, she commanded the back line, making this crucial stop, batting the ball out of midair and off the goal line to keep the Eagles off the scoreboard. Smith and the rest of the Heels finished their regular season on Friday night when they head to Durham when they take on Duke. Now, after his career day at Virginia on Saturday, Carolina's J.J. Jones was named the ACC Receiver of the Week on Monday. Now, this should not come as a surprise. After setting a new career high with 129 receiving yards to go alongside his first ever multi-touchdown game, this is Jones' first Conference Weekly honor and Carolina's first ACC Receiver of the Week award this season. Jones and the Heels are back in action Saturday when they head down to Tallahassee to take on Florida State as they look to continue to turn their season around. Keeping it on the gridiron, praise for his leadership both on and off the field, Carolina's Kamon Rucker is a semifinalist for the Jason Witten Man of the Year Award. Rucker has been a force on the field, recording 4 sacks this season along with his first career interception last week. Outside of Keenan, Rucker has been a community standout, donating personal hygiene items to his old elementary school in Georgia. He's also been a mental health advocate and a mentor for youth discovering faith. Finals for the award will be announced on December 16th. And with 3.5 sacks to go alongside his interception at Virginia, Rucker was also named the Bednarik Player of the Week by the Maxwell Football Club on Tuesday. That's all for sports. Tune in to Sports Extra at 11:30 on Friday morning for an in-depth preview of the upcoming weekend in Carolina athletics. We'll be right back after this.
Hi everybody, my name is John. Today we will be doing a presentation. Over here. Thank you. Okay, so you can see here that
Welcome back to Carolina Week.
The Joys to the Pole event is set to start in just a few moments.
So Anna Cater, we're going to be looking at this Joys to the Pole event. It looks very colorful. There's a lot going on. There's supposed to be a DJ there, I hear. That's pretty cool.
For sure. I definitely think the efforts are supposed to be very lively for students to get excited about early voting before it ends next week. And it already looks like there's a bunch of students waiting for it to get started.
I've heard that people are very excited for this event. It's supposed to be very fun, very lively, and there's lots of students going around closer to noon. I know it's getting there, but it should start pretty soon. We're very excited to see what happens. In other news, Chapel Hill Police says that downtown streets will not be closed for Halloween night, and there is no planned impact to parking or traffic. Thank you for joining us, and be sure to tune in to Rise and Shine tomorrow at 9 for a glimpse into the holidays celebrated this month. Have a safe Halloween, and we'll see you next time.